The mayor.
By our count, only 33 individuals have held the job of mayor of Iowa Falls in 165 years. In the past, some people actually managed to hold the job for several years. A few even held it for non-consecutive terms. It is largely a thankless job, even though it pays a small salary. People have always complained to the mayor, but nowadays constituents can also complain by telephone, email, and social media. The mayor doesn't vote like a city council member, but respected people who hold the job can certainly have a great deal of influence. No woman has ever held the job of mayor of Iowa Falls, even though a few excellent women have run for the office. Why not elect a woman for mayor in 2024? It's long overdue. Here is a list of the individuals who have served as mayor of Iowa Falls and a little bit about some of them and what happened during their terms. Although the city of Iowa Falls had existed for about 14 years, the city didn't officially incorporate until 1869. At that time, it was necessary to elect a formal city council and the city's first mayor, O.W. Garrison. Garrison served for 3 terms, or a total of 6 years. The office of mayor is described in Chapter 15 of the Iowa Falls City Code. I'm not going to read the entire code to you, but you can easily find it online. The mayor is essentially the chief executive officer of the city of Iowa Falls. The mayor does not vote at city council meetings, but the mayor still has a great deal of influence. Probably the most powerful thing the mayor can do is the mayor's veto. The mayor can veto ordinances, amendments, or resolutions within 14 days of passage. However, the city council, with 4 out of 5 votes, can easily override the mayor's veto. The mayor is the city's chief representative. According to the city code, the mayor is paid $300 per month. I'm going to discuss with you some of the people who have served as the mayor of the city of Iowa Falls in the last 100 years. F.M. Cottrell was the city's longest-serving mayor. He served for 17 years, Through the difficult years of the Great Depression, through the bank closures of 1932, and through World War II. There is a street on the west side, Cottrell Avenue, which is named after F.M. Cottrell. He is certainly one of the greatest mayors the city has had. Cottrell died in 1949, just 2 years after leaving office. The next 14 years after F.M. Cottrell, the mayor's office was filled by Floyd Klippel, E.L. Ackerman, Don Nichols, and Lou Jennings. There were times where it was difficult to find anyone to serve the position of mayor. Don Nichols was actually an interim mayor, as he was also the city manager, and he served for 1 year as a mayor pro tem. During these years, the city water tower and the junior high school were built. The city celebrated its centennial in 1955, and Highway 65 was rerouted south of town through a wider and better viaduct. Harold Hubbard served as mayor during the John F. Kennedy administration. The stage was set for one of our greatest mayors. Earl Fitz served 4 two-year terms during the Vietnam War. Many of the great things this man did were before and after he served as mayor. Earl Fitz was a master businessman, an accomplished pilot, and a tremendous people person. He was a big promoter of Iowa Falls. Above all else, Earl Fitz was not afraid of liability. He acquired the swinging bridge for the city, the assembly grounds for the city, and developed the River Bend area into what we have today. The high school building on North Taylor Avenue was built at the end of Earl Fitz's time as mayor in 1971. The population of Iowa Falls grew by over 500 people, or over 10%, during the Earl Fitz years as mayor. Local businessman Joe Hibsch served the first of his 2 split terms as mayor in the 70s. Local funeral director Arnold Anderson served 4 terms as mayor during the rest of the 1970s. He oversaw the building of the Ellsworth Indoor Pool, the Peter Toth Memorial, and also the Bicentennial Celebration. Joe Hibsch served his 2nd term as mayor just as the difficult 1980s set in. Local restaurant owner Rocky Laval became mayor in the early 1980s and found himself as the city's chief executive officer at the most difficult economic period in the city's history since F.M. Cottrell and the Great Depression of the 1930s. Rocky had been through difficult times before, and he was the ideal person to deal with the situation. Rocky was a tremendous ambassador for the city. He often found himself giving away about as much money from his restaurant business as he kept for his own family. He had served previously on the city council and was experienced with city government. Times were hard psychologically for everyone in the city, and Rocky often found himself at odds with his own city council. Nevertheless, we are probably pretty fortunate that we had a man like Rocky Laval as mayor during those years. Just to illustrate how bad it really was, within 3 years after Rocky Laval became mayor, the Citizens State Bank had failed, Farmland Foods had closed, and the population of the city had dropped approximately 500 people. The pressure on the mayor and the city council was tremendous. At the end of the Rocky Laval years and the beginning of the George Vest term as mayor, the city began to come to terms with the farm crisis. The population drop began to slow down, and Fairway food stores and Walmart came to town. The optimism of mayors like Don Clark and Dan Brown is definitely what was needed as the 90s advanced. Local citizens barely noticed that the Berlin Wall had come down and peace was at hand, but Dan Brown noticed. He began to make partnerships with newly freed Russian cities. Sadly, the peace didn't last. The Dan Brown years did see the Vision 2000 project and the new Barlow Library and the Meyer Aquatic Center. An older and wiser Rocky Lavelle entered his second term, overcoming personal tragedy. He saw the building of the new Highway 20 bridge, the Veterans Memorial, the South Campus of Ellsworth College Equestrian Center, and the new Dale Howard Center. Jerry Weldon served 3 terms as mayor and saw the completion of the Oak Street Bridge, which replaced a bridge built by his own family, as well as the Dale Howard Stadium. Gene Newgard's 4 terms as mayor welcomed in the new Hanson Family Hospital, as well as the new City Hall building. Our present mayor, Michael Emerson, currently in his second term, has seen continued building projects with the new neighborhoods on the west side and Palisades Estates on River Road.